and so on.
Is there some new technology in your time that can stop a gun from being carried into such places? Some kind of advanced steam-powered force field?
No. Yes.
And does that stop bad people from having guns?
No, but there's a sign.
Look. Your name is Brinley, is it? Yes? Okay, Brinley. The Second Amendment is foundational to the idea of these United States as an independent people. It's the best of our democracy. It's a shield against tyranny. A country not responsible enough to bear arms is not a country worth defending.
Counterpoint, guns are scary, and I'm gonna make a few changes.
No, stop it! You will stop this
You're
highly
Give me
irregular. I blocked it this morning. We may disagree on the Second Amendment, but at least we can agree on the First Amendment, freedom of speech. It's good with you, right?
no. Here is the list of notes I have on the First Amendment.
Oh, geez. TACPAC is a monthly subscription box designed for the tactical Second Amendment enthusiasts. TACPAC believes that we all have the right to own and use firearms, and they want to equip you to maximize your effectiveness and enjoyment with any firearm you own. Each box is filled with useful professional grade gear from brands like 511 Tactical, 9-Line, CMMG, Mission First Tactical, and other great Second Amendment brands. TACPAC has two main tiers, Standard and Plus. TACPAC Standard costs $59.95 shipping and typically has a value of $90 to $120. The TACPAC Plus subscription only costs $139.95 shipped and is typically worth $240 to $300. New subscribers can use the code BEE, that's BEE, to get an additional value
Over in that lane, and then they charge you. But what I thought
On my end.
was the way it's set
Check
up.
it out right now. This
But the mayor passed this over to me.
I just think Shipman might be better,
Okay, I'll call you when I finish
than
this.
this other one, but anyway, okay, talk to you later.
All right, bye.
We're gonna get started in just a minute, everybody.
I'm kidding.
All right. To order, Council of Government meeting for December 8th, 25. Appreciate everybody being here. We got a pretty full room this morning. Thank you all. Before I call this whole thing technically to order, excuse me, I'd like to introduce Todd McNeil, a very dear friend. He's what? Wait, I'll ask.
It's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful. That's why I'm gonna look. He is the executive director of the Association of Regional Councils and Governments. Did you get all of that?
Yeah.
Never repeat that again.
State COG Association.
Yes. Todd and I go back a long way, along with Stephanie. The three of us went through the Advanced Leadership Court together back in 2020, 21. When did we do it? It was back a while. I'm real glad to have him here. He's a very, very dear friend. So Todd, we welcome you. Did you want to say anything before we get into the business?
There's a spot, he's number 6 on the agenda, Mike.
All right.
So we can take it up then.
Okay. Well, meeting has been called to order. Again, appreciate everybody being here. You know what? I will lead us in an invocation and pledge today. Lord, we thank you for helping us to assemble here today and that everybody got here safely. We ask that you guide us to make wise decisions. And we thank you for bringing Todd to join us today, and his journey comes a long way, all the way from Ashe County. Please make sure everybody gets home safe today and that everybody has a very happy and healthy holiday season. We ask these things in your most holy and precious name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Okay. Everybody, you have your agenda in front of you. It was emailed to you.
Introductions. There's some new people.
You know what? That's a great idea. Thank you, Alan. Let's we'll go right around the room. We'll go this way. I'll start. I'm Mike Forte, Chairman of Brunswick County Board of Commissioners and the Chairman of the COG.
I'm Brenda Bozeman, Mayor of the Town of Cleveland.
Dan Dawson, representative from the town board.
Laverne Coleman, County Commissioner, Columbus County.
Lynn Barbie, Mayor of Carolina Beach.
Steph Walker, County Commissioner for New Hanover.
Brett Springer, Fender County Commissioner.
Holly Tilson, Area Agency on Aging Director.
Daniel Adams, Local Government Services Director.
Dawn Tucker, Finance Director.
Ginger Brick, I'm the Cape Fear Workforce Development Board Director.
Danny Nickel, Project Manager.
April Radford, Clerk to the Board and Office Manager.
Takima Clinton Quintana, newest Wilmington City Council member.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Mayor Bill Safa, City of Wilmington. Alan Cirkin, Executive Director here at the COG.
And again, I'm Todd McNeil. Hi, everybody, from the State COG Association. Thanks for having me.
Okay. So everybody was emailed their agenda. You have it in front of you. I hope everybody got a chance to look over it. Are there any amendments to the agenda?
No motion to accept.
Second.
Brenda, Laverne,
This was Lynn, but it's fine.
any discussion? Oh, that was Lynn?
Yeah.
It was Laverne. Was it Laverne?
I can throw my voice, Mike, so
Apparently.
maybe it'll sound like
Not
that.
far.
No.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Again, you have all the minutes. Anybody want to make a motion to approve or any corrections to the minutes?
Make a motion to approve.
Jan, need a second?
Second.
Laverne, that was Laverne. All right. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Thank you all. Okay, Alan, did we have any public comments that came in?
April, we didn't receive any, right?
No, sir.
Is there anybody online that wanted to make public comments? Moving right along. All right. Again, Todd McNeil, our new Executive Director, the North Carolina COG Association. Todd, on you. Anything you'd like to share?
Nothing profound, but I'm glad to be here. There's just got a picture from my wife. There's about 3 inches of snow at home and counting. Hopefully by the time I get back up there this evening, the roads will be clear. Like Mike said, there's a couple of friendly faces in the room, but it's nice to meet everybody else. I started in this role on October 1st. It's a new role as the General Assembly and the federal government keeps placing more and more confidence in regional councils. And we're all growing in capacity. The COG Association Board, of which Alan is one of the members, saw fit to pursue a staff member to help carry some of the administrative water and to be a face. I don't know, mascot's maybe not the right word, but you know, we've got enough work on us now and growing confidence. They felt it was important to have somebody to show up and represent the COG Association as a whole. So like Mike said, I've known him for several years and Steph too, and this is my paying job. This is how I pay the light bill, but like you guys, for fun on the weekends instead of golf, I get screamed at the grocery store as I'm also an elected official in my small community back home on the Ashe County Board of Commissioners. So anyway, I thank each one of you for your service because that's what it is. I know despite what Facebook says, you don't get bags of money left on your doorstep, you know, every other day. And nobody's doing it for the money. You're doing it because you care about your communities. And I'm proud to serve alongside of you in this role. So as we move forward, I want to see ways for elected engagement with the COGs, with events and gatherings similar to what many of you are familiar with the League of Municipalities or the County Commissioners Association. We want to get our folks involved collectively, engaged in conversations about the good work that regional councils are doing, because the more excited we are about the work we're doing, then the more excited our legislators become about the work we're doing. And then anyway, you can follow the bouncing ball from there. It all runs in a circle. So Alan, thanks for inviting me down. Mike, thanks for having me. And I think I've shared a card with everybody. If I miss somebody, I've got some more.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So anyway, y'all are awesome. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you, Tom. All right, order. Okay. Dawn.
I guess
Are you blessed?
I guess, I reached out to the auditor and I have not heard anything. I thought they were gonna jump on in case y'all had any specific questions for them. It's pretty easy, so I'll go ahead and go through it. Any detailed questions you have, I'm gonna have to, defer to them, but pretty much two things. One are, there's not gonna be any, findings or any types of issues with the audit. The audit's going clean. They're not able to present today because of the government shutdown. It delayed our compliance report that has to be attached and be part of our single audits. So because of that delay, we are gonna, the audit will be issued a little bit later. We're hoping to be able to present it to you in January. Pretty much the audit is done. They just have to finish up the last few little bits. And then lastly, because of the delay, the LGC is requiring, because it's supposed to be turned in by December 31st to them, they are requiring that we do an audit extension. And so we have a copy of the amended audit contract from Mike. I believe I still need to sign it as well. But and then also the price of the audit is probably going to go up. It was quoted at 44,000. It's going to go up to 50,000. And the reason because of that is we had a couple of programs that are our non-major programs, and we had some receivables that were not received within the 90 days. So we're not able to claim them as receivables. Because of that, it caused our continuum care program to become a major program. So they had to do some more independent testing of our continuum care program. And they had to, and the LGS is now the non-major, so they had to do some additional testing on that as well. And they've gotten all that stuff, and that's just basically making sure they pull enough samples to be able to make a good decision, about the audit. But unfortunately, we usually only have aging and workforce as our major programs, but because of the large, just the change that we had to do was about. There was about $70,000 that we didn't, $60,000 or $70,000 that we did not collect within the 90 days. So because of that, it created a too large of a deviance. So we had to. The CFC is now this year's major program. Next year, probably not.
So Don, my understanding from the emails with the auditor was that they still think that there's a good chance that they will get an audit done and submitted by the deadline of December 31st. But because it's not done yet, we are proactively adopting this extension because the LGC recognized that with the delay in compliance supplements, that audits would be delayed. And so they sort of gave a blanket approval that, submit an amendment, we'll approve it. It may end up not being necessary to do the amendment because they may get it in by December 31st, but there's no reason not to. If they're delayed, we won't be late in filing our audit because of this amendment. Also, my understanding is that this modified fee is sort of a not to exceed. They thought originally that there maybe even was a chance that they would get it done under the original fee. But again, because of the additional work, we're sort of just to be safe making this amendment. And so because of the fact that the audit isn't being presented to us today, which it normally would be done at the meeting in December, later in the agenda, when we go to our 2026 meeting schedule, we're going to meet in January. We would typically meet in February and not January because there's often not a lot of action items in January at the beginning of January. But because we expect to have an audit presentation and there is a requirement that an audit be presented to the board within 45 days of being submitted, we'll have a January presentation of the audit.
They're finishing things up now. I was out on Friday, but I do have an email from one of them who have to update some of the notes. So there's a couple, they're finishing up the last little bit of it, so hopefully we can have it in by the 12/31 original deadline.
Any other, or are there any questions about
I have one.
audit? Okay.
So the federal government shuts down, state government, for all intents and purposes, shuts down. And because they're playing around, costing us $6,000. Anybody see a problem with that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're hoping it's not gonna be that, as we said, it's a not to exceed, because I've sent in what they requested, but it wasn't a whole lot more, because they had already done a lot of testing on those two programs beforehand. So hopefully it will not be that full amount.
Dawn, was it because of the shutdown that we didn't get those reimbursements?
No.
Maybe.
The COC, no, the other is the flood mitigation, and that's what they claim, but we haven't gotten reimbursed from them since April.
I'm gonna discuss that in my staff report.
Okay, so that's a topic we'll get into a little bit later, but but it wasn't, because, I mean, the state government was still going on during the, it was just the department, it's part of the DHS is the ESG ones, and they've had a little bit of trouble this summer getting everything going. So that was part of the that's where we get our COC reimbursements from. And we got all them in October. So those we've gotten reimbursed for. It was just because of, it has to be considered a receivable. It has to be received within 90 days after the end of year end. So since like one of them we received like on the 10th of October, like the 2nd of October, but just because of those couple of days, because of accounting rules.
So again, we're being penalized for their lack of work.
Yes, for other, whether it was because of the shutdown or not, other agencies are costing us money.
And I'm not disputing.
Yeah, I might have to make some phone calls this afternoon. Okay.
Can you all hear me?
Anything else to add to that?
Can you hear me?
No.
Anybody have any questions pertaining?
I have one question, Mike. We don't need to do any kind of budget amendment for that vote if it costs more money and.
Well, we don't know the number
I mean,
yet.
it's in the contract, when you amend that, when you approve the contract, it has that additional amount in there, the up to, and it's got the time extension on it as well. So it's, yeah, you will have to, there is a red item, an action item on there, so.
But the current budget accommodates the
Okay.
amendment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's only $6,000. And it may not even be.
Hopefully, yeah. Cause I mean, he did say they're gonna try to keep it, they are tracking their hours a little bit later, but he was trying to keep the costs down.
He should.
Okay, so this indicates that there's an action to be taken, but what are we gonna take action
So
on?
we're gonna adopt the contract amendment to the audit,
Okay,
which is in the packet. So there's a 3-page contract amendment in the packet, which extends the audit due date from December 31st to February 12th, and extends or increases the fee from 44,000 to 50,000.
it's allowed. Dang, I'm an accountant. That's what my degree is in. Might have missed my calling.
Yeah.
Ah. All right.
Bags of money I'm receiving now as a county commissioner.
Oh, yeah, that's silly. Yeah, that's silly money that I'm making as a county commissioner, absolutely. Doesn't pay for my gas running up and down Route 17 3 times a day.
Mine either.
Okay, so I suppose, Alan, I need a motion to accept the contract amendment, right?
Yes.
I'll motion. I'll
Brenda?
second
Who seconded it? Stephanie?
it. I don't sound
Any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
like.
Any opposed? Thank you, everybody. Dawn, keep going. Finance report.
And we've got the budget report as of November 30th. We are moving right along. Most of our programs are where they need to be. If you see for the CFC, we are, it may look like we're a little bit overspent in our planning grant for the HUD, but that grant, those are one of the programs that run on a calendar year, actually. Whenever we sign the contract year. We're trying to get it to run straight with fiscal year, but we have had some extensions on that, but we should, have all that spent.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Kima, do you I know when I sat in this seat the first time, the COC, all of these acronyms don't mean anything to me.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's our continuum of care program. It's our homeless services.
Yeah. So if you would, if whenever else gets the reports, I just ask that you actually.
Say the
Thank you.
acronym.
Yeah,
Good looking out, Lynn.
because otherwise it's like, it's overwhelming at times. So.
Without the acronyms, it can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
We are kind of, I'll go ahead and let you know, we are kind of funky because we're not just a straight July to June fiscal year with our federal programs. Some of them run different times. Some of them run a federal fiscal year, some of like our ESG program, especially this department, the Continuum of
And
Care.
ESG
is Emergency Solutions Grants. They give out money to help rapid rehousing, shelter, street outreach. And it's a federal program that's run, and we're a pass through from the state, and that runs on a calendar year. So
they're just in several departments, and in that one in particular, we've got a variety of different funding years.
Yeah, and what
sometimes the percent complete doesn't really represent the percent through the fiscal year, because there's maybe more than 1 year's worth of funding in that line.
And I try to compensate that and go ahead and budget for this year, because when you approve the budget, it is for the July to June year. And the stuff that we have in reserves is what we're planning on having extra to go into the next year because of how their funding streams run. You'll notice it also with the workforce development program, because that is a 2-year grant as opposed to a 1-year grant.
Say schema real quick, like in this budget here, it tells you the different categories underneath. That helps you keep it together in your mind.
Thank you.
And I'm always here, so if you have any questions or if something doesn't make any sense, for any of y'all, I can answer and help hopefully clear it up.
Good. I'm a bit nosy.
That's all right.
I did hear of COC, so I was familiar with that one a little bit. So thank you.
And
thank you so much.
And in our local government services program, we are moving right along. We should be at this time of year, we should be at about 42%. The digital inclusion, that is just getting going. That's the one that's kind of moving making the overall 38% a little bit lower, but that one, we are getting going with that, and I'll let Daniel explain that a little bit more on how we intend on spending that money, because that was a special grant that we had gotten. And our area agency on aging, we are moving right along. The S&P and MIPA, that is another one that runs on a federal fiscal year as opposed to a normal fiscal year. So we have that one is not overspent. It's just where we're at right now. We just completed our funding as of 9/30. Our money to our counties, the counties are a month behind, and we just pay those bills, and don't worry about that 23%. Our counties have no trouble whatsoever spending all their money by year end. They usually overspend. So, and then in our workforce development, we are, if you've noticed, at our last meeting, we talked about Hawk was no longer was not a contractor with us. And so we had to bring adult dislocated worker and youth in-house. So I have included our adult dislocated worker and I put the in-house beside of it so that you all can see that a little bit better. The youth had already started going, so it's a little bit further along than our adult in-house and our in-house dislocated worker, because we just got everybody hired and got the career centers and everything up and going in November, excuse me. So she is running fast to get it going.
So we essentially had a failed procurement in that program, and we got state approval to run them in-house, but the failed procurement happened so late in the game that we're getting a delayed start. So we have to play catch up to get those funds spent.
We'll get it done. Oh, yeah. They are busy little bees over there. Every time I go over there, they're working on something else. And our administration is right about where we need to be, and general operations, that one is a little bit, that is where we put a lot of our annual dinner and all of that type of expenses in there, so we haven't hit those expenses yet. Any other general questions? I know that was a crazy overview, but.
Long and short of it, if we're more or less on track on overall expenditures.
Any questions for Dawn on that?
Me?
Yes, ma'am.
I know, for me, affordable housing, but also kind of lumps in with the homeless situation. So can you tell me, what are some of the things that we're doing for the, homeless services?
Andrea is our director of that. She will come in on that and she can give you a better, I have a general overview of what we do, but she can give you more specifics and let you know. I know from a way, just so I know where to charge the funds.
Gotcha.
Andrea has a standing conflict with this meeting, and so she is currently online in her office in the other meeting. And when the homeless services update comes up later in the agenda, she'll jump off that meeting and come in here, and that's the perfect time to ask her that.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so
I
much.
would definitely set a meeting up with her. She's a wealth of information. She can
Okay,
explain.
awesome.
Yeah, and I don't know what your schedule is today, but you could also stick around afterward, and she'd be happy to talk to you after the meeting.
Thank you so much.
Alan, before I move on, will we do an orientation with our new members? Because we got one or two more that will be joining us.
Absolutely, yeah.
As soon as they have a meeting.
Yeah, I've got a standing presentation that I give to new members.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I took it's thorough.
Okay,
It
well,
makes it a little bit clearer.
Clarity.
Joanne, are we done with the budget report?
If there's no more questions, yes.
Any other questions? I'll need a motion to accept. Jan, somebody want to second that?
Second.
By the way, you two guys can't sit next to one anymore. You sound kind of similar.
Gray hair.
That's the geriatric section of it.
Easy now.
I'm the oldest guy in the room. Okay, so I have a motion, I have a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Anybody opposed? Thank you, everybody. All right, budget ordinance amendment.
This is pretty simple. We've gotten a couple new money. We've got some more money in for our LGS department. $50,000 contract with Brunswick County, correct?
Yeah.
So it wasn't originally in our budget, so now it's included in that. And then also we got, Holly's gonna explain a little bit more, a $2,500 award. Yeah, that's a good word for it, because it's not really a grant, basically an award for some of our family care activities.
Yeah, we won an award, and
Yeah.
part of the award was a $2,500 cash award, so.
Where's it from?
We definitely did, Holly will tell you in the update, but we definitely didn't plan for winning any awards and the cash payout from an award, so we're
Yeah,
amending the
so we
budget to
made
accept that money.
Okay, anybody,
So that's the extent of the budget.
anybody have any questions on this amendment?
Not on the amendment itself, but I do have a question. We talked about upping the dues. When are we
Yes.
gonna enact that? I know it's budget season coming up.
So that is also on my staff report,
Okay.
but it's that's to be presented to the general membership at the February annual meeting.
So it would be part of next year's budget.
It'll be on the agenda at the end.
So we're starting to have discussions. Sure, I'm conveying that correctly when I go into Copper Chris.
Okay. I need a motion to accept the budget amendment.
Make a motion to accept the budget amendment. Walker.
I'll second.
Chef, Brenda. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, meeting schedule.
All right, so as I mentioned, typically we have a meeting in February. And because of the budget, the audit delay, we're gonna be meeting, or proposing to meet on Monday, January 12th. We typically don't meet in March in April. But if we because we normally meet in February and May, if we're gonna meet in January, it doesn't seem reasonable to meet in January and May. So I've added a March meeting as well. We don't have any expected agenda items yet at this time, but I think we need to have at least a placeholder for that meeting. I'm sure there'll be something, at least we can report on budget and that kind of thing. So the proposal is January 12th, March 9th, all second Tuesday. So January, March, May, June, August, October, December. Obviously May, we are required to present the budget for the next fiscal year to you guys, and you'll set a public hearing. June, we'll adopt the budget. As those of you who have been on the board before remember, typically the budget is pretty much a guess because we don't have our federal allocations yet. And so October, we do a big budget amendment to sort of true all that up based on figuring out what our carry forward amounts are from prior fiscal years and on what our final allocations are for our federal programs, since we are predominantly federally funded. So one extra meeting than we typically have, but I think this time it's necessary. Any questions?
Does anybody see any conflicts with this?
I'll check my other 4 calendars and let you know.
You know, that is moving.
Girl,
Mine are electronic.
serve on 50 old school committees. It's very difficult to keep.
I promise you I understand.
Okay, I need a motion to accept the calendar.
Motion.
Brenda,
Second.
Jan. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. Alan, staff reports.
All right, so first of all, at the last meeting, I had indicated to you guys that I would reach out to all of our delegates, see who's interested on being on the executive committee, and that the nominating committee would have a slate of officers for you today. But we realized that because of the November election, there are a great number of our members who have still not appointed delegates for next calendar year. So luckily, we're going to have a January meeting. And so I emailed the nominating committee and they agreed that we would hold off on a slate of municipal members and officers nominations until January. We can do that in the January meeting. That gives folks a chance to appoint their delegates so we know who we're choosing from. And the January meeting is far enough in advance of the late February annual meeting that we can still get that slate out to the general membership in advance of the annual meeting. And so we are delaying the nominating committee discussion until next meeting. Any questions about that?
Looks like Katie has a question. Randy's raised.
Nope. It's me, sorry.
Oh, no.
Was that an old?
That was just the mouse, unfortunately.
Gotcha.
Also in your packets, as usual, I always present to you guys the contract summary. So for the new members in the room, the board has granted me authority to enter contracts that meet certain criteria. And when I do that, in exchange for that authority, they've requested that I give them a list of all the contracts that we've entered since, without explicit board approval. And so this, in your packet is the list of the contracts that we've entered since the prior report. The only other thing I want to say with regard to that, of course, if there's any questions about the report, you may ask, but our finance assistant who enters these contracts into this database is out right now. And so there are actually a number of other contracts that we've entered that are not on here. They'll be on your next list. There's probably one or two of them that I think Daniel's going to highlight in his update. Just suffice it to say that there are, there's even a few additional ones that just aren't on the list because of a staff member being out. Couple other things I wanted to bring to your attention. I had originally intended to put on the agenda a pay plan amendment because our continuum of care program is planning with the funding that we got from the endowment to make one of our part-time coordinated entry assessors, which is the sort of the phone hotline staff members, from part-time to full-time and be a coordinated entry manager. That was one of the part of the scope of work of the grant to the endowment. Because the endowment funds are temporary and I have the authority to hire staff that are temporary in nature, and because of the fact that we had two pay plan amendments at the last meeting, one of them which doesn't go into effect until February, and it's just kind of pay plan mess right now, I decided I will let you know that we're planning on doing that. I will update the pay plan and bring it to your attention at a future date. But that rather than muddy the waters even further with this one in particular pay plan amendment that's going into effect in February, I just thought I would bring it to your attention and we'll take official action on it at a later date. We're actually also not sure on a start date for that position anyway, so it may not be before January anyway. I wanted to talk about the interbasin transfer, which has been on a lot of folks' radar. Is of course a regional issue of great regional importance. If you're not familiar with it, it is that the town of Fuquay-Varina, which draws water from both the Cape Fear Basin and the Neuse Basin, has requested from the state authority to transfer 6 million gallons a day from the Cape Fear Basin, water from the Cape Fear Basin, discharge it to the Neuse Basin, which reduces the available capacity in the Cape Fear Basin that all of us get our water from. I know a number of cities and counties in our region have adopted resolutions in opposition to that. And Daniel and I attended a meeting not too long ago for the Cape Fear River Program, which is a collaborative that all of the dischargers in the Cape Fear River pay into a common program so that UNCW can do all the water quality testing for all of the dischargers rather than each of them having to do their testing individually. And that was a big topic of conversation at that meeting. I don't know that it's necessary as a board that we take action on this, but I just wanted to make sure that particularly for those of you who are maybe not aware of it, there has already been one or two public hearings on the matter.
Not here.
Not here.
Not here.
Not here, exactly. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to bring it to your attention. So that the public hearings about this issue, one was in Fayetteville, one is in Raleigh, and one is in Pittsburgh on December 11th. So one was in Fayetteville, was in Raleigh, and one in a few days. So a lot of communities in particular have submitted public comment that there needs to be a hearing down here. And then as well, a lot of communities are submitting written comments to oppose this action. I just, want to make sure that you guys know that A, we're following it, but that B, I don't think necessarily that it's necessary for us as a board to take an action, but we're here to be resources to the members as necessary on this issue.
I have a question. Mike, can we not do our own resolution too? I just think the more the better. I feel like there's just not a lot of folks up and down the Cape Fear River Basin that know this is happening. I like even talk to our friend, our mayor Pittsburgh, because they get a hearing. Why don't we have a hearing? We should have more say. This is problematic, and the more people that know about this, the more people that are would be very, very upset about
Steph,
it.
I don't disagree with
It's
you.
a big deal.
We're the furthest
Let me tell you
down.
guys something. These guys up in Raleigh
Yeah.
are gonna take as much water as they can. They've got
Yeah.
a growing area. All the cities up there need water.
Raleigh
We've
too.
got 106 million gallon capacity in the Cape Fear.
Yep.
And it affects everything down here. And they already did it one time in Cary when we sued.
Mhm.
And the state was with Cary on that one. Where they came back and we won that. City of Fayetteville and a lot of other regional authorities. If we don't step up, it's just like everything else up there. They take more from us. And more, and they don't care. They do not care.
They don't.
Look at the roads, look at everything down here that we're asking for, the bridges, everything. They do not care. They're gonna get what they want.
Mhm.
And we need to fight this.
They just need
This
to put
is
it back.
Yeah, I agree with
This
you.
is very serious.
We're the bottom rung.
Uh-huh.
So everything they take from Wake County, you know, affects us more than anybody.
Yeah.
We're the last.
Sure.
I like to hear what Todd has to think. What do you think we should do? I mean, I think the COGs should be more involved in this kind of stuff. This is definitely a regional problem.
Absolutely.
Well, the COG represents all the municipalities in the county along the way. I know we did a resolution.
Yeah, we did too.
You guys did, Leland did.
It's on the January agenda.
Okay, he says
You're
next.
doing one as well?
Yep.
CFPUA did one.
Yes, CFPUA did one.
I'm happy to take a handful of those agendas and modify them to be appropriate for our board.
You could plagiarize
Yeah.
counties.
And I can send it out by email to you guys for approval. And if you'd like, you could probably go ahead and take a motion now to approve that resolution, and then we'll tweak it over email. And I'm happy to submit that as well.
More the
I
better.
don't think it hurts.
Oh, I don't either.
They do it, don't wait.
Mayor or Steph, have you determined how many gallons it would affect you by daily?
I don't think we've looked at the gallons. I think I talked to Ken Walter from CFPUA. He's like, they just need to put it back. I think that's the biggest.
What they want, if they want to take the water, they don't want to clean it and put it back.
And put
into
it
the
back.
river. All we're saying is you can take the water, just put it back.
Put it back
into
in the Cape Fear.
Right, if you put it back into the Cape Fear, we're fine
Yeah,
with it,
don't
but they
put it
don't want to
back in-
spend the extra money to do that. Same thing with Cary, they didn't want to spend the extra money. It's gonna affect every little municipality in your county, which the growth rate of it right now is black.
Yeah.
5%, literally in the next 20 years, it's gonna really be impact, all of us gonna be impacted, Southeast North Carolina, with the amount of people that are moving here. Not only that, with industry and companies and everything else, it's gonna affect us.
Mayor, you're absolutely right. I have, through economic development, I have a fish on the hook
Mhm.
that's gonna be a big
Yeah.
water user,
Mm.
you know,
The data center.
I need every gallon. And my public utility director is telling me that should this go through, it's not gonna be a major burden, but if you add everybody
Yep.
downriver, it is. It's 6.5 million gallons a day.
We're at the bottom.
That's not being replaced, as you said, it's going into another river. I don't want to overstep. It is absolutely a concern to all of us. My public utilities director tells me that it's going to affect us to the tune of about 300,000 gallons a day of the 6.5 million. So it's not backbreaking, but you know, if we give them 6.5 million today, 2 years from now, because of the way they're growing, they're gonna come back and take another 3 or 4 million.
The second one now within 7 years.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not gonna be the last.
So, I don't know if y'all looked at the growth rates in Wake County in that whole area.
Oh,
It's the fastest growing area
Yeah.
in the state. It's going to bypass
Absolutely.
Charlotte if it hasn't already done so.
Mhm.
As those little areas continue to grow, they need more water.
Right.
The nooses, they're hitting a capacity at the noose. So they're coming this way. They're putting their straw into the Cape Fear. And from Fayetteville down, everybody's going to get impacted. And our intake valves are at a certain level.
Yes.
They start to drop.
Right.
We got an issue with dragging that water out of the Cape
It's
Fear.
not even, yeah, just the PFAS as well, like the less water that's in there to dilute those PFAS, the more we're gonna be affected, and we just paid what, 55 million for a,
Brand new facility.
but they have not paid us back for it.
You could desalinate.
Yeah, yeah, that's it.
It's $1 billion.
Yeah, not cheap.
Today.
Yeah.
It's not, and it's not just from the PFAS and the water side, but on the treatment side,
Yeah,
it dilutes the it reduces the water that dilutes the discharges, so that it increases discharge costs as well.
Certainly does.
The Cape Fear Public Utility Authority estimated that it's about the equivalent of 27,000 homes. And, you know, with the growth that we're seeing and the cost of housing, I can't imagine that limiting growth potential in our region.
It's gonna affect farmers, the aquifers. We're in a drought. I mean, parts of our state are in drought condition right now, or almost in drought condition. What if it gets worse than that? It's gonna drain the aquifers. The farmers are gonna be affected. We're the longest river basin. We go all the way to Pittsburgh.
Yep.
That's why I think we should get,
But they won't give us a hearing down here.
They
That's
won't.
problematic because they have
know.
made exceptions in the past where they have given hearings in other areas where the communities have asked for it. So this is even more problematic. They're sending a message to us down here.
That's right.
We really don't care. We're afraid to come
Yeah.
down there and see you guys.
Right.
Because we know what we're in store for.
Mhm.
So.
But we got a limited time, don't we, Mayor? Limited time, because it's like 60 days. I think CFP are trying to get an extension on that to make it at least 90 days. So more people know, because the more people that know.
They're meeting right now, CFPU, right?
Well, and the mayor's entirely right. I mean, at the end of the day, we're not even necessarily opposed to them using water from the Cape Fear Basin. We're just opposed to them taking it and not returning it.
Right.
This is a cost transfer. It's really not about water, right? I mean, it is water, but what they're gonna do is they're gonna take the water out. If they just did what we always do and put the water back, everything's good.
The problem is.
But this is a cost transfer of they're not gonna pay for the treatment. And then let us figure out how to pay for whatever compensates. for it. It's just transferring costs to us.
And so they're wanting to.
I just don't want everybody to realize that this is about money.
Right.
As much as it's about water.
Money.
Exactly.
I know that when we have, if ever, it's just like the bane of my existence, is this low pressure reverse osmosis. $176 million and it's 3 years past due and I still don't know when it's gonna happen. Okay, but when it's online, it uses a lot of water to treat it. So it's gonna affect us down the road. Now they're telling us by the end of June. You buying that theory? Yeah. But this is our drinking water, and as the mayor said, we're the fastest growing area.
Yep.
How could you touch our water? It's already got all kinds of nonsense in it. Now you want to take half of it? We gotta fight
They
that.
don't care.
They don't.
Al, do you care?
They will.
Opposition for staff to speak in public comment about the resolution?
Say that one more time.
Do you have any opposition about sending somebody from staff to speak in public comment?
I would have to check schedules, but in theory, I don't have any problem with it.
Okay, we need to get something, because there is a public hearing coming up.
On the 11th.
On the 11th, yeah.
Is that Thursday?
But you gotta get there early, because the last one was packed.
Is this in Pittsburgh or is this one?
Yeah, 6 PM in Pittsburgh.
Is it time limited? If it's time limited, then you're only gonna get so many people sign up.
Sign in and speaker registration begins at 5:30.
Yeah, you need to get. Public singer, I can attest. We can even send comments to need be.
Yeah, we can send comments if we can't attend. I know I can't attend. My wife is gonna be out of town and I'm on kid duty that evening.
We'll take the kids with you, don't worry.
Yeah, let them speak.
Make sure they're really dirty, but they can't clean our water.
Love that.
I can go. I'll be in Durham that day for that training. So, I mean, that's not.
Oh, that's what you're doing, right?
Yeah, it's not.
That's perfect.
Have any of us talked to Kyle about this? I mean, I don't know how much he knows. I know he's the mayor of Pittsburgh, like Chatham County and all that.
I haven't spoken.
I haven't either, but he's right there. Maybe he can speak for all of us.
Went through ALC with the mayor there, Kyle.
I just feel like you put us in an awkward position because they put these hearings like next week and things like that in faraway places where it makes it difficult for us.
Well, and not even when we're so affected by it, how do you not have a public hearing here?
This is a typical problem for the state. I mean, Daniel and I have talked frequently about the state rolls out these statewide programs and they have what they call regional meetings, and the closest one to us is in, Robeson County, or it's in New Bern, or, it's 2 hours away, and, go lo and behold, our region is unrepresented because nobody's willing to make that trip. Yeah.
But on a Friday in the spring and summer, they somehow find a lot of ways to come down here.
Yeah.
Isn't it? They have a meeting, you ever seen that on a Friday? They have a meeting down in Wilmington or some area.
Take their money.
Yeah, yeah. Taking the money, but they do come down a lot more.
So I propose that I'll put a resolution together and we'll have Daniel attend the hearing. He can hand deliver the resolution at the hearing.
Can we send you all the resolutions that have been on record?
Oh, that'd be, yeah,
I mean, Brunswick, Wilmington, Carolina Beach.
We haven't done ours yet, but it's coming.
yeah, we'll get all of those.
I mean, that's very powerful. We have a ton. They're just
Yeah.
like, is Tanner gonna do one again?
We've already passed.
Oh, you already done this, Defenders? Look, all of this. This is what college does, right?
Mm-hmm.
You sent all of it.
Yeah, I'll have Daniel present
You can hold.
all the resolutions and read out the list.
Yeah.
But I do want to say something else. There's the IBT hearing officer is Kevin Tweedy. Kevin Tweedy was appointed to the EMC by the governor. So if anybody has any contacts with the governor, we need to call the governor's office. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna call too.
Okay.
I think it's important for anybody that has any kind of relationship. with
Can we
the
get
governor.
Jonathan? Jonathan's tight with the governor.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not?
Okay.
We can, but anybody that has any connection with the governor's office needs to contact them and ask Kevin Tweedy, ask for a hearing down here.
Yes.
And if not, why isn't it?
Mhm.
Right.
Why is it not allowed down there? Putting us all the way up there.
It's allowed. They just.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's on purpose.
Mhm.
we'll have it over there in Brunswick County over there.
Come on.
Auditorium.
Yeah.
Come on. I'll have it at the college.
Packed.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
College.
I put 1,500 people in that room.
Nice. I think the more people that know about it,
Yeah.
just will be very upset about it. They just don't. Clean Cape Fear, which is a nonprofit, came out against it as well. They did with all the PFAS stuff that when,
Mhm.
found out our water was poisoned.
Well, what about the Utilities Commissioner, Jeff Jackson, the Attorney General?
Utilities Commission only regulates private utilities. Well, they're actually called public utilities, but not publicly owned utilities. So the town of Fuquay-Varina is a public entity, so the commission wouldn't have anything to do with them.
And again,
Has Columbus passed anything? So has Columbus passed anything in opposition to this?
are they on the Cape Fear River Basin?
Up here, we just got a business.
Yeah, they are.
Looking to go in there,
Look at the
and
map.
they want to pull water out of the Cape Fear. If it comes in there, it's gonna be they gonna need a
Part of the
large
Cape
quantity.
Fear.
Yep.
Yeah, I got one on the hook too. Big water user
They gotta have big.
and power.
The other thing Daniel and I can work on is
Might be
maybe
for the
we'll,
same
we'll,
one.
we'll put together a draft resolution for our members that have not adopted one yet, and we can get it on their agendas, share it with them if they want to get on their agendas as well.
You talk to our county manager and see if he can get on board with it. What he needs.
Yeah, we'll give them a call.
How about town of Burgall? Have they passed anything? Y'all passed it?
Did a resolution. All you want, you can bring me. I would hold them up just like.
Pender, I know Pender did. one.
Yeah, we did one last.
Pender.
Yeah, so I guess we're all on the same page with that one.
Do you want us to pass it?
Say,
now, Colin?
This one.
What I think,
It's not an action item.
I mean, we could make it one, if you guys want to adopt the draft resolution, and I'll send it out for confirmation by email to you guys.
It's about the timing, right? So. we
Yeah.
can get it
Yeah.
done. Let's do it. Yes.
So you want a motion?
Yeah, I might as
Make a
well.
motion to authorize the director to to take the draft resolution. And present and
Modify it for
modify it for the COG,
All that.
all that.
I'll second.
I'll second it.
All right, Lynn and Step.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. Alan, what else you got?
Sorry. James and Robbie have come on. I didn't know if you wanted, if
Oh.
they,
So those are our auditors. Does anybody have any question for the auditors, with regard to that audit contract extension now that the auditors are online? They could
We're
answer.
gonna
any
hear from
questions.
them in January, right?
Yeah, we're gonna hear from them in January anyway. Robbie, if you can hear us, we did approve the contract amendment, so we think we did a good job explaining it to them. So if there are no questions for them, Robbie's just unmuted.
I was just gonna say, my apologies.
Not really.
Can't hear you. Can't hear you, Robbie.
Let's see.
Robbie, you're still on mute for some.
yeah, we're working on our technical system. Hold on just a
He's not
second.
on mute. We're just too quiet.
Okay, try now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All righty. I just wanted to say I apologize this morning. For some reason, this meeting did not pop up with a reminder on mine or James's computer, so we totally missed out at the start. However, hopefully everything was explained out, just how we had to do a little bit of additional testing this year just because of the continuum of care met the thresholds for a major fund this year. We are very close. Actually, James is putting the finishing touches on the draft of the report right now that I have already reviewed the first time, and we will be ready to roll very soon. That draft compliance supplement, there weren't a whole lot of changes that came out when the final came through, so we should. I would imagine that we will be issuing the financial statements likely within the next week. So,
Robbie, can we anticipate unmodified?
I believe you can anticipate an unmodified opinion. We will not have any findings this year. You can expect an emphasis of a matter paragraph, and that is for the restatement item that comes with that continuum of care being reclassified from a major fund or non-major fund to a major fund. So you'll see what we call a ghost column in the back that says continuum of care, and all that restatement is taking that fund balance from continuum of care, taking it out of the combined non-major fund and putting it in its own. So there will be a paragraph related to that. We've not had any findings as it relates to single audit from either a federal or state level. We did have 3 major programs this year. We did test the Work First. We tested aging, of course, and we also tested the ARPA funding that came through that we should be at the very tail end of that at this point. So all in all, everything is looking good to go. We just, between the delays from the state and the Fed, we're right here at the cusp of being able to issue right now.
Any other questions? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right, so something else I wanted to mention to the board, Don touched on it in the financial overview. So we've got a grant from emergency management related to hazard mitigation for one of our staff members, Chip, to work with our member communities on flood mitigation projects through the FMA, federal FMA program. So that's for buyouts or elevations of houses in the floodplain. This is a program that we have, for whatever reason, well, for a variety of reasons, hazard mitigation section and emergency management has not reimbursed us since April. We have 6, I believe, outstanding reimbursement requests that in the EM grants portal where we submit these reimbursement requests, all of them were through the approval process and all sitting in the stage waiting for Department of Public Safety Finance to issue payment. So I sent an email to the emergency management folks, and actually I was calling the accounts payable folks at DPS, said, hey, this is waiting on finance, issue payment. Well, somebody got back in touch with emergency management, hazard mitigation guys, and they sent us an email that, you know, I don't want to go into too much detail, but, you know, they found a reason why they said that they are putting everything on hold. It's, as far as I'm concerned, it's completely illegitimate. They're saying that we aren't doing things that are in the contract that are required by contract. I responded by email, quote for me the page number and paragraph where it says that, because it doesn't say that. We are compliant with our agreement, issue our payment.
Did you talk to the attorney about this?
I have not talked to her about it yet. I doubt we're going to sue the state of North Carolina. So no,
it's not about suing, Alan. It's about if we've done something within contract, the attorney can put out a letter and make something else happen because it comes from more authority than them.
So this is a problem that is happening between the four COGs in the eastern part of the state that have parallel contracts with state on this program. We're all running into similar issues. The reality is that there's a staff member in hazard mitigation who is in over their head and doesn't know what they're doing. And tomorrow, those four COG directors, me and the other three, have a meeting with the hazard mitigation section chief in Raleigh to discuss this. My understanding is that section chief is hostile to COGs, and I am not confident that this is going to get resolved anytime soon. My next step was going to be, if there was no resolution at the end of this meeting, to talk to our attorney. I think at the end of the day, I don't know what we're going to do, because it's an important grant. We're like 60 grand or something of, that we're covering for them. I mean, at the end of the day, they're claiming after the fact that we owe match on this grant. There's no match mentioned anywhere in the document. I've got an email from them that says it's 100% federally funded. The reality is they don't know what they're doing. They're talking about indirect costs exceeding the indirect cost rate. They're using their own definition of indirect cost rate that is not the federal definition. They basically don't know what they're talking about. I laid all that out in my email and they've not responded to me. But I just want to bring it to your attention, because if I do bring Noel in on this, we're going to be, spending money to fight the state on a grant they're not reimbursing us for. We're already paying out of pocket on this. And if we're not going to sue them, I wonder to what extent legal pressure is going to be effective. And so I just want you guys to know that we're in a bind.
And we have gotten reimbursed from this grant. We haven't gotten it in a long time, but we did get reimbursement for like the first quarter of the grant. We just haven't received anything since then. So if there was these issues that Alan is talking about that they had, why did they reimburse us to start with?
And I got to be honest, I gave them the benefit of the doubt. We had all these grant reimbursements approved, and they were all waiting for finance. And I was like, you know what? Maybe we're barking up the wrong tree. Maybe hazard mitigation has done all of their due diligence, and somebody at finance just didn't realize they needed to process these payments.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
I was just gonna remind everybody that this is a public meeting that's accessible to all, that's probably being recorded and minutes are being taken. So to the extent we're crossing over into a plan of action for this board as it pertains to the state of North Carolina and suing them, we want to not have that conversation in this setting.
Good looking out, Noel.
Fair enough. Should we amend the agenda?
So I would ask, Alan, who is over this specific?
That was my question.
Yeah, who's the supervisor?
The hazard mitigation chief that you speak of.
So the hazard mitigation chief is who I'm meeting with tomorrow. He is in the the Division of Emergency Management. So there's an emergency management director who works for the Secretary of Public Safety, who is appointed by the governor.
And so where did you stop at your threshold?
So tomorrow's meeting is with the hazard mitigation section chief.
And your plan to go in there and say what?
I plan to get an explanation on why they are not reimbursing us and by what authority, but why what if they are determining that we don't meet the terms of the agreement, because they've never responded to my request for specifically what are they saying we're subject to, because they've said, or at least where the contract says we're subject to what they say we're subject to. And so I've been ghosted since that request. So we're going to try to get an answer, because presumably if they can't produce an answer, they have no justification for withholding payment.
Was this person boss CC'd on the emails?
No, I think he's the boss that was CC'd on the email. I sent it to his staff member who is responsible for the program.
So the meeting tomorrow is the escalation.
Yes.
Okay.
The secretary will be the next escalation.
Or the director of emergency management in the next escalation.
And so if he gives you 10,000 other excuses, what's the next plan?
Well, I mean, I'll document the excuses and then I think we'll escalate. And whether it's through, I'll have a conversation with Noel, the extent to which she thinks she should be involved, will, be based on that information, I guess. But I wanted to bring it to your attention because it's incredibly frustrating. Now, that being said, if the board would like me to deliver any particular information tomorrow, I will be there in person and happy.
Tell them that they really don't want to see me and Brent show up. Because we'll use street justice.
I'm not.
Don't put that.
Think we can't do something. I don't wanna hear the kinks.
Yeah.
Two things, you either don't want to or you're not going to.
Right.
We need to get to the yes, and I want you to figure this out. Very simple.
Can we get an update on email if you need it, or we're meeting next month, so you can update us?
I can absolutely update you after the meeting. It's incredibly frustrating.
Yeah.
Because I was one, so 2 of the 4 COGs that are involved have had leadership changes since this program started. I was the main person on the grant recipient side who worked very closely with the person below the hazard mitigation chief and with one of the, emergency management hazard mitigation attorneys on drafting this contract. So I'm very aware of not only what it says, but why some of the things are in there. It says that it will honor our indirect rate. They're trying to say there's an indirect cap. Not only is there not an indirect cap, I was the one who inserted the language that said they will honor our indirect rate. So like, it will, I'm going to be an important part of this conversation because I was there when this contract was drafted and when all these things that they say were included were never included, some of them intentionally. So I will get back to you by email and report back, but this has been an incredibly frustrating situation.
I would ask, because it is frustrating, I would ask that you put timelines on specific items going through it. Mayor Sappino now has probably built 10,000 houses or close to it. You give a contractor 12 months to build a house, he's gonna take 18. So put strict timelines on the conversation and hold his feet to the fire or her feet to the fire on this.
As the funding agency, I just don't know what feet we can hold to what fire, but I mean, if it'll have to end up in ultimately, I think, being a political discussion because, or a legal one.
Yeah.
The only other thing I wanted to mention is that you guys requested that I book Dr. Katabi for our annual meeting speaker, and he is booked. So I'm going to get back to you on that.
Does a great job. I can listen to him over and over.
So that's all I have. All sunshine and roses.
Okay. Andrea, if you're on, come on in.
Are there any questions for me before we pass it on? All right.
I just texted Andrea.
Pardon me?
I just texted her. She'll be in.
Okay.
Holly?
Okay, sunshine and roses over here. We have started our monitoring season with the Area Agency on Aging. So we monitor each one of our providers in the 4 counties. We partner with the lead agency for aging services, like New Hanover County Senior Resource Center is our partner here in New Hanover County. So we have started our monitoring schedule. All of our providers are on point with their spending. As Dawn mentioned, they all overexpend usually. And all of our programs, especially home delivered meals and congregate nutrition, which we really appreciate the support of commissioners, making sure that people are fed. Within our agency, Carrie is our aging specialist, and she has been spending time in Pender County and New Hanover doing SHIP counseling, which is Seniors Health Insurance Information Program, helping people re-sign up for their Medicare supplements, their Medicare coverage, and their Medicare Part D coverage for prescription drugs. And she's really enjoyed that, and we love that we can help our counties with those appointments because they are inundated with appointments for SHIP counseling. When she mentioned S&P and MIPA is Medicare Improvement Patient and Provider Act through Medicare. And S&P is Senior Medicare Patrol. Those are two Department of Insurance programs that we get grant funds to help educate people on just that, how to sign up for Medicare, how to sign up for your Medicare supplements, and how to prevent fraud of Medicare funds. We are starting a new program called Pillars of Excellence to evaluate our senior centers across North Carolina. And we are one of the pilot programs that will do that with our Southport Center. And that will be in March. We're starting a training for our Veterans Directed Care program with the financial management company this month. So we're moving forward with our Veterans Directed Care case management program.
As you guys may remember, you guys directed us to move forward with that at our last meeting.
So we are doing just that. Pender Adult Services has hired a new director. Wes Davis is retiring January 31st, and they have hired Andrew Zeldin, who was the Social Services Manager at New Hanover County Senior Resource Center. We are excited about that, and we will help in any way we can with that transition of leadership with Pender Adult Services. They do a fabulous job over there, Brent. I don't know if you know much about them. They're great. We are going to be doing Dementia Friends training for New Hanover County employees on Thursday, which is exciting, just getting a little bit of awareness about dementia and caregiving. And we won an award. We did a video for a Memory Cafe awareness contest with Dementia Friendly America. AARP provided the funds for the award of $2,500, and we got best overall. And they're going to share our video real quick. It's only a minute and a half, but it's fun. Yeah. Well, hopefully we're going to share. So,
Put the volume for me.
Here. You can read it. It just has music in the background, so you're not missing a whole. It's just music.
Don't get nervous.
Not able to. Keep it.
And so this part, you won't be able to hear it, but everyone shares a word that describes a memory cafe, and they said, you know, great food, great socialization, love, support, were really some of the things that the participants shared. And this couple, Joe and Linda, were super sweet, and Joe just passed away this past week. So we were very sad about that. Memory cafes are just a social event. People with memory impairment tend to socially isolate themselves along with their care partners. So we do these quarterly. It does not cost our programs anything because it's a partnership. We work with Lower Cape for Life Care. Captain Bill's Backyard Grill does a fundraiser every year, and they put those funds towards helping caregivers in New Hanover County. So it really is just our staff time when we do these events. And they are so special and really, really helpful to the people caring for people with memory impairment and the persons living with dementia. So we got $2,500. So we are trying to figure out how we want to do something fun. We thought about, yeah, Henrietta cruise downtown with them, or, you know, something fun that they might necessarily not get to do on a regular basis. So exciting and fun stuff.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Well done. Is that everything, Holly?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. All good things happening. Andrea, Homeless Continuum of Care.
I request I don't follow Holly with her really warm, wonderful videos. Hello, I'm the Homeless Services Director. We are, as the COG, the lead agency for the Cape Fear Homeless Continuum of Care, which is a HUD designated 3-county region that works to coordinate and collaborate on services to hopefully make homelessness rare, brief, and non-recurring. Current updates, we had a little bit of a surprise. I think I mentioned at one of the last meetings that in early July, HUD announced that they would have a funding opportunity competition that we weren't expecting because last year's was supposed to be a 2-year competition. But due to some changes in administrative policies, procedures, things like that, they wanted to make that change. We generally have about 3 months because for those of you unfamiliar, HUD allocates or designates an amount of money towards your COC. Then you have to have a local competition to have people bid on projects they want to do. We have a group of non-funding receiving agencies that do that funding to be transparent and make sure there's no conflicts of interest, things like that. There are very defined points where you have to have certain things in certain days. So we did end up having that come out, I want to say November 13th. And the due date is January 14th for our collaborative application. So after our local competition, we score those projects, we make funding recommendations to our board decides who to fund, and then we have to write a collaborative application to go along with that. Projects are funded differently this year. There's a lot of huge differences this year. Generally, new projects are funded based on the project score and then the collaborative applicant score. Some of you know that we've had some challenges with that in the past, but we had a really great last collaborative application. Last year's annual renewal demand is where they kind of start with how much money your allocation was 508 or 511, 511,000. And this year it's 700 and I think 86,000. So we were able to increase a lot of our funding over the last time. Some of the big challenges we're facing right now is that HUD, in an attempt to make things more competitive, it used to be that 90% of your funding competed locally. And so we had the ultimate say, and we knew that we were going to get at least 90% of our annual renewal demand into our community, and we could make those decisions. This year, that's only going to be 30%. So there's a chance we won't even reach 300,000 with our funding, depending on how our applications go. Another key point of that is a lot of the things in our application are out of our control. So a lot of the points that we're being judged on, things like SORNA, which is Sex Offender Registration Notification, all those acronyms, compliance. I just assumed North Carolina was compliant because we use them for all of our projects, use them. But out of the 5 areas, we're only compliant in 1. So we'll lose points as a state for that. So none of our projects across the entire state will get points for that. So there's a lot of challenges. There's a lot of new regulations for your board composition that we didn't know about. Other thing is we usually, like I said, have about 3.5 months to do this. We have less than 2 months to do all of this. So it's really hard to change your board composition in less than 2 months. It's really hard to kind of do some of the things we're being asked to do. But I will say we are diligently rewriting our written standards to comply with the new NOFO, which, as some of you know, can be a really difficult and timely process. We did steal some UNCW students to help do some of that labor, trying to make this as painless as possible. Because of that, we do now have a new board member from Brunswick County Sheriff's Office because there's some regulations on having law enforcement officers. So we're really excited about some of the changes. The other major change that's going to dramatically impact our homeless services throughout the region, and also I'm sure balance of state with Columbus County will have the same. They are now wanting to change up the type of programs that we fund. So historically, permanent supportive housing has been kind of the standard because it keeps people housed. I think I've mentioned this before. We have a very low return to homelessness when we get folks in there. It's effective, but they are wanting to have programs or COCs cap the funding we put out to PSH at 30%. We currently spend 78% of our funding on that, which is actually lower than the national average. So across the country, it's 87% of projects go to permanent housing. And so that means we have about 30 to 40 folks that are funded in permanent housing through this funding. We will not be able to cover that. Our projects are right around 600,000 that do that, and we will have to cap that out at about 280. So.
If I could interrupt.
Hmm?
So what happens? We put those people back on the street?
It's a great question. Obviously, ideally that doesn't happen, but the reality is we are a little bit lucky. So again, with the way that this timed out, our projects were a little bit behind. So we haven't started fiscal year 24 for some of our projects. So our rapid rehousing, which also is medium to short-term financial assistance, it's also considered permanent housing. So we're also having to cut that. But our one project in Pender that is doing that hasn't started yet. So we know that we have at least a year of that left. The two permanent supportive housing projects that are operating those will end in July, August, depending on which project you're in. And so right now we are actively pursuing other ways. I know we had been working with some of the housing authorities on our folks that are in a stable enough position transfer to a housing choice voucher. Unfortunately, housing choice vouchers are also on the cutting block. So we don't know if there'll be vouchers to provide. We have, as soon as we found this out, gave our providers. So the interesting part is they're allowing projects to transfer. So if we're funding a permanent supportive housing project, so let's say Good Shepherd would like to switch over to transitional housing because they are wanting us to do more transitional housing. You can transfer projects, but you can't put permanent housing residents in transitional housing because you're returning them to homelessness because transitional homelessness. So you almost have to not serve these folks anymore. So we've reached out to a couple of different funders to try to have a supplement to have some kind of bridge or safety net for these folks. But then they also, as part of those projects, have supportive services case managers. So those case managers are working diligently. Also, it would be remiss not to mention that there is several litigation kind of cases out there against the NOFO. So there is a temporary restraining order hearing at 3:30 nationally for this. The National Alliance Against Homelessness and several other partners. There's several states that have sued over this. There's a lot of bipartisan support because folks just don't have the time in this crunch to make these drastic changes. So I laugh because I keep telling out I'm doing a lot of work to be ready for this. And I have this pit in my stomach that they're like, oh, actually, no, you don't have to do it. But the other tricky part is the applications that are due are not available. So you have to do your project application in HUD's eSNAPS database. Usually very shortly after they announce the funding opportunity, you can go download the application and start working on it. No one has access to the applications because it's dramatically different. We're having to come up with scoring cards for our ranking committee on an application we haven't seen yet that's due in less than a week. So it's been, I feel bad. We are really excited. We have a lot of really great new partners that want to be on board, but there's so little we can tell them. And there's so little, it's so much work to get all of this together to not know whether we'll even be funded at all, because HUD has also kept that on the table that they reserve the right to not fund an entire COC if they so decide.
So they're good until July, is what you're saying.
So 2 of our programs are good until about July, August. Our CE, so the COG has coordinated entry, which is the program that helps coordinate all of the services, takes people in, gets them connected, and our HMIS, which is the homeless management information system, the database that all of our providers use. Those 2 things are required by HUD, and we are funded through December of next year for that. The other issue
And that's not permanent housing, so it's not subject to the 30% gap.
But if we don't decide as a COC to rank those in the tier 1 to protect them, the kind of guaranteed money, we could lose them. And then we'll have a requirement that's unfunded. But if we do put those as a priority, our other support permanent housing could then get lost. So we're in a really interesting time right now deciding how to prioritize things so that our community doesn't lose.
We are being strategic, right?
Yeah.
So we're talking about programs that are permanent housing where their current funding is funding rental assistance.
Yes.
and they're paying with other funds for the supportive services of flipping that.
So
that
we
the
can't,
pu-
yeah, I want to be clear.
Oh,
We can't actually flip those because they can't.
Oh,
use-
not flipping the people.
No, but
the
not.
program can't.
Yeah,
flip.
so we can do transfer programs. So for our like Pender's Rapid Rehousing, they are currently being funded for rental assistance. So they can go ahead and instead apply to be a support services only grant, which will cover the case management. So we're looking at that. So for Good Shepherd, the problem with that is so their permanent supportive housing that we fund is Driftwood for the rental payments. So we were like, oh, we'll just pay for the case management, but you can't pay for case management for people that are housed with homeless money. So we're talking to them about switching their project over to fund their day shelter and amazing work they do sheltering folks that are unsheltered, but trying to help adjust budgets so that everything we're trying to do fits in that 30%.
Ultimately, it's a mess.
Yes.
And we are scrambling to try to understand the best way forward when we don't even have the applications that are due in a week.
And the bad part too is they have a really great, and they're usually very responsive, web, email address you can send your questions to. So many, we're working across the state. We're in a cohort, both in the Southeast for the national, but also our entire CFC. All of our COCs get together weekly to discuss strategies. And then any question we ask to that email, we're sharing with everyone. So my question was how specifically these transfer grants would work, because so many of us are looking at doing them and we're not even sure if it's allowed, but they haven't answered the question yet. They said it's in a queue for services. So
there's $750,000 worth of annual homeless assistance money that normally 90% of it is guaranteed. Now 30% of it is guaranteed. And there's a cap of 30% of what we typically spend 78% of the money on. So, and there's no time. So, and there's no information. So we will do the best we can, but everybody nationally is struggling with this. It could also turn out that we do better than everybody else at figuring it out and we could increase our funds. Probably not likely, but like there's really zero predictability at all.
yeah, so like I said, last year we were able to increase our funding by about 52% just based on the strength of our application as a region and as a, and so there is that potential. There's about $1.1 million we could apply for. It felt a lot better when we were being judged on things we had control over as a COC. It's much more challenging when they are, it's whether your entire COC's region, not just one area or one county, has camping bans in place. We don't have control over that. Each municipality has control over that. The extent to which you cooperate with law enforcement, which we do, we work very closely. They're a major partner, but some of those things are prescriptive. So we are working really hard. Our ranking committees met several times. Our standards committee has had to take out language. The other tricky part for our returning projects that is challenging is some of the requirements this year requires that they haven't done things in the past that were required of them. So for instance, there's a sentence about recognizing gender outside of binary. If you've ever done that, you may not be funded, but it was required to recognize them last year. So you had to say that we do this, but now if you've said that you do that, they've also opened up where they can defund a project based on media coverage, just things again outside of our control. So I don't want to be all doom and gloom. We have had really great.
Really, because you're doing a good job at it.
Have been amazing. Our new projects are like, how do I best fit in here? What should I go after that doesn't hurt us? We are very lucky to have such a great core of service providers that are trying to strategize. Hey, I'd like to apply for this, but not if it takes, puts someone back in homelessness. So,
well, who gets to pick if the worst case scenario and you don't get, who gets to pick who can stay, has to go?
So I think based on how we've done a lot of things, one of the ranking committee is huge on this, though they're the ones deciding the strength of the project. And it's really just deciding whether your application is going to be strong in the competition. But after that, we look at the same as we do for our coordinated entry process is really trying to prioritize the most vulnerable. So the other thing is there's this misconception that permanent supportive housing means that someone gets into housing and never leaves. there's this misconception that, we're just housing people forever without ever thinking about them again. Each program requires an annual recertification. There's an income recertification. You have to really still be eligible for the project. So it says permanent supportive housing, but I know as a scattered site project, that we had it before Coastal did, we've had people move on. They've increased their income. They no longer apply, it's wonderful. That's part of the project, is increasing self-sufficiency. And so we have done that, had people move on. So it's going to take a big case management push to figure out who can move on, who really still needs those supports. For the folks that do still don't need those supports, can we lean on other programs such as targeted housing, really being as creative as possible. Again, issue with that is all of those projects are also facing severe cuts.
So Andrea and I are also working closely with the endowment on getting an application together for at least our New Hanover County projects, which are the bulk of our projects, to see if they fund an application to support maybe the entire program for a couple of years as things sort themselves out, as we know what we're going to be eligible for, what we might have access to. But as a stopgap to ensure that the programs that are operating currently that are successful can continue to operate and the people that they're serving can continue to be served. This has been an incredibly significant shift in policy to try to accommodate on a very short timeline.
And I know we've talked a lot about this, and some of you have seen our data updates. For instance, we're going to be penalized for having a high percentage of new people to homelessness, which is a direct reflection of the housing crisis and
the growth.
I think we've talked about before. Since 2008, Hanover County at least has had a 35% increase in population. And honestly, since 2008, we've went down in homelessness from the pit. But that incredible burst, and all of our counties, Brunswick's #1 growing, Pender's not far behind. It's a challenge we're facing, and it's one that we're going to definitely get deducted points for.
And then the county took money. And I'm just going to say that out loud. I did not agree with it. So the budget season's coming.
Now I'm hoping, I don't know how creative our application can get, but we did decide, so we get HUD COC funding, but we also have the responsibility of administering ESG, which is Emergency Solutions Grants, which has been traditionally looked at as your shelters. So we help 2 shelters with operation costs. So a lot of times you can't get, your maintenance stuff covered. We're able to help that for some of our providers. So 2 of our shelters receive that, and we'll continue to next year. We also are putting over $45,000 into prevention next year through the Harrelson Center that will reach all 3 regions, because we know first-time homelessness is an issue in our region. So that's what we prioritized our strategic funds to go to next year. So I'm hoping if we can creatively let them know we know this is an issue, we have tried to employ our finances accordingly. But so those funds run on the calendar year. So January 1st, we'll have prevention funds for all 3 counties running through the Harrelson Center.
Alan, do you feel like the endowment has a place for this grant? Like, I know there are 4 pillars. I know one suggestion in their documentation is a workforce housing trust fund. I don't know if that's been explored. I know this is probably not the COGS.
They funded our coordinated entry program this year, which, helps more than supplemented for what we lost when New Hanover County didn't continue their local funding. And we are going to reapply for that New Hanover County funding, because now there's an open call for that funding. Previously, we were vendors and we were automatically renewed. And so we didn't know we were not going to be eligible for that funding. And we didn't apply because it wasn't an application process. So we will apply for the New Hanover County funding. But of course, that's not nearly on the same scale of what we're getting from the federal government.
I think this is a regional conversation too, because as fast as we're growing, but the argument I hear is people go where the services are. And I know that's kind of a loaded kind of thing to say, but I mean, until Brunswick and Pender and all the region has more robust services, they're gonna come here.
We're definitely working on that. But my point is that the endowment found our coordinated entry program to fit within their pillars sufficiently to fund. So I'm hopeful that they will find that this collaborative application essentially to supplement or supplant potentially the HUD funds would also fit as one of their pillars, but we're at the early stages of discussing that with them, right?
Very early. Some of this has been a surprise for all of us. Yeah. That's the main update.
Amazing job.
I was gonna say the last 2 months our 3 part-time people that barely equal one person have fielded almost 300 calls through our hotline. One has gone out to Carolina Beach by request, and that was a really great thing because they're seeing an increase. So we're able to kind of deploy those throughout the region whenever we have a request from a partner to be able to help our folks manage resources, figure out what their barriers are, and hopefully help plug those holes. And then out of those almost 300, about 75 of them actually entered CE, which means we weren't able to divert them or come up with a new solution and are actually awaiting referrals to actual services, such as our shelters or different housing solution. And unfortunately, in that same time period, we don't have as many people leaving homelessness, just because it is so challenging to find something.
Like a perfect storm.
Yes.
Do you have numbers on how many people went into homelessness and how many people have successful in that?
Yes.
You do? Do you know what they are right off?
So I could do very roughly, I want to say in the last 6 months, about 80 some have left successfully to permanent housing solutions. There are quite a few other ones that have just disappeared. And I don't have them off the top of my head that I can run them for you and send them to you.
Okay.
We keep those pretty regularly and oh, actually, I think I do have some stuff printed out that I forgot is on the printer. Our biggest problem is the infill versus the outflow. We meet almost every 2 weeks, twice a month to look at anybody new coming in. Our service providers, about 10 to 15 come every, twice a month. Usually when we're reporting out, there's between 30 and 40 new households in that time period. And there's usually between 2 to 10 leaving.
I mean, the reality is it's hard to find a house if you're not homeless, a place to live. It's hard to afford to live in this region if you've got a good paying job, et cetera. So these folks there's just not any housing available for them to find.
Well, one of the things we know, and when we do have, I'm sorry, I should probably run these. I've been so funding opportunity focused. We know that the majority of our folks do have incomes. The problem is they're fixed incomes. So they're usually between $700 and $1,000 a month. And even some of our income based or income restricted places, that's the rent. So some of our cheapest places for a 1-bedroom are about $1,000. So if you're on Social Security, fixed income, you're retired, those are really difficult. You can't get in. And so a lot of what we are doing is some creative problem solving around, can we help you find a roommate? Or do you know of anyone? Or what's your family doing? Because the reality is there's just no math, there's no budget that's going to work for that.
So what kind of metrics do you have to evaluate how long they can stay in said place?
So most of our places are not, it's not like this. So our permanent supportive housing, you get a year-long lease usually, and then every year you are re-evaluated to see if you're still appropriate to stay there. That means you're under 30% of AMI, all these different things. If you make more, we're working on transitioning you out. That's our permanent supportive housing projects. Transitional housing is up to 24 months. That's kind of the hard stop on that. And then our shelters really vary. I used to be the shelter director at the domestic violence shelter. It's supposed to be 6 weeks. I got in a lot of trouble for letting people stay 10 months, 12 months, because there was nowhere to leave to. Not that I got in trouble, but it was very much frowned upon. So a lot of our shelters, that's our biggest problem. We're getting also dinged for data because places like Good Shepherd have long stayers, which means people have been there too long, according to the federal government. The problem is they don't want to put them out on the streets. They want them to have somewhere to go. And so our shelters are traditionally long staying. The only thing that's helping us is that healing place is 1 day at a time. So that 1 day averages out a little bit less. So it's pushing our numbers down. I will say the day shelters do a particularly good job of getting people housed, even though they're on a waiting list for the shelter and they don't get in. They're still working with housing case managers to see whatever type of housing they can have. So yeah, most places it's just helping them identify it. There's not a whole lot of, I don't want to say ongoing. We don't have master leases or things like that, except for our permanent supportive housing. And that's only about 30 that are covered by our COC.
I'd like to know also how many people are overstayers.
And again, those are mostly folks that, it's just finding a place they can move on to.
Andrea, I'd love to schedule some time to talk with you one-on-one. Also, how many partners are you currently working with?
We have about 45 agencies that are part of the COC. Some of those are like homeless service providers, but we also work really closely, obviously, with Med North, Novant, just a variety of different partners.
So all nonprofit organizations?
Not all.
The cities and counties,
Yeah.
you know, City of Wilmington and the 3 counties as well.
Local governments, nonprofits, some business owners are actively, engaged.
And how often outside of the city county governments do you look at your partnerships to say, this is what they're doing it well, or they're not doing it well enough and we need to look at someone else?
So part of our responsibility as lead agency is monitoring visits. So we monitor for performance. But in addition to that.
But Andrew, well, we're only monitoring, so we have 40 partners, but they're not all funded.
Yeah.
Partners. So we're only monitoring the partners we fund. Right.
So we're monitoring the partners we fund through that official process, but anybody who uses our HMIS system, and that's closer to 15 agencies, and that's the people that use because HUD expects that even if you're not funding someone, that they use your database so you can make strategic decisions. They get monthly data quality reports that show how you're doing data entry. We are regularly looking at those system performance measures with those folks. Again, there's no carrot or stick with that because they're not getting money and nothing we tell them really gets them in trouble. Though, if they have enough data quality issues, we can suspend their access to their database. We haven't had to do that. Folks really work hard to do that. So there are those conversations happening as well. Okay. And then obviously when folks apply, like we have about 10 to 12 letters of interest for this recent thing. So they're going to have to report how they're performing in system performance measures. How do they do above the time homelessness, returns to homelessness, all of those things. And that'll be part of how we decide who gets funded.
Okay.
But I'd love to meet outside here.
Yes.
Obviously I can talk about this a lot.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Got everything in here.
Oh, it's not close to everything.
Thank God.
But it's everything she'll report on.
Wow. Well, that's help to make for happy holidays report.
Yes.
On after.
I don't envy you, Andrea. Daniel, local government services.
I'll stand over here so you don't have to crane your necks too bad. And thank you for teeing me up there. So I want to take the board back to, or the committee back to the conversation we had in October where we talked about how local government services is charting a bit of a new course. And what we're doing is getting out in the community, right? And hearing from our regional partners and our member governments to understand what services they need and where they feel that there are gaps in the services that they offer, right? And so rather than us telling them what we can do for them, we want to be responsive to what they need and try and tailor our services to those needs. And so a few areas have been consistent in the conversations that we've had. Those areas are grant writing and grant administration, economic development, resilience, utility assistance, just general utility assistance, and then also establishing ourselves as a regional training and coordination hub. We got a lot of positive feedback about the managers meeting that we had about a month ago, and that's something that we're going to try and keep doing. We've also hosted a few meetings here in the past couple of months, one on utility rate setting, another on local government finance, I would say, and then a planners meeting or meeting for planners here last week. So we've been really intentional about those efforts. And that's not to say that we're just discarding the things that we've done historically. We're still providing expertise in land use planning and just general local government needs as they arise, but we're just expanding and diversifying some of those services that we provide and building our capacity. I think it's important anytime an organization or department is charting a new course or going in a new direction that we have a guiding principle or a mission statement. And so our department worked together to put together a mission statement. I want to share it with the committee. It reads as follows. The Local Government Services Department collaborates with partners in southeastern North Carolina to strengthen local governance and build prosperous communities by providing technical expertise, regional perspective, and innovative approaches to local and regional challenges. So again, we collaborate with partners in southeastern North Carolina in order to strengthen local governance and build prosperous communities. And we do that by providing technical expertise, regional perspective, and innovative approaches to both local and regional challenges. So that's the mission of the Local Government Services Department here at the Cape Fear Council of Governments. I also want to take this opportunity to thank the board. It's not lost on me the investment that this board made back after Wes McLeod left, and just some of the disruption perhaps to the revenue streams. And so I want to thank the board for giving me this opportunity, and Alan as well, and affirm that your investment is being put to good work. So thank you all for that. I also want to recognize Danny. Danny worked hard with the town of Calabash on some internal control and compliance procedures. And so that was a big project. I know that folks at the town of Calabash were singing Danny's praises, so I want to recognize that. Everyone should sing Danny's praises.
We all do.
Sam has been on, talked about this last time, the tour of Columbus County has finally wrapped up. Every municipality in Columbus County and the county has adopted the comprehensive transportation plan for Columbus County. It's a big effort. Sam had a lot of hard work put into that. So I know he's relieved to have the adoption process complete. So thank you, Sam. Also want to recognize Chip Bartlett, project manager. He worked really hard with the folks at the town of Carolina Beach on a grant program, secured about $70,000 in funding to map their stormwater system. That'll help with water quality there in Carolina Beach. And then Alan mentioned a couple other contracts that we secured that did not make the report. One was with the town of Surf City to review and update their charter, and then another one with Pender County just to provide some assistance on some plan review in the planning department there. So that's it for my report. I'll be happy to talk with anybody afterwards, but I appreciate the opportunity.
Any questions for Daniel? Good job. Workforce development.
Oh,
Hey, Ginger.
all right. I apologize to everybody in the room. I'm going to back up a little bit to give a little bit more information, background information, so that you guys are aware. So the Cape Fear Workforce Development Board is your federally funded supporter, convener, partner in serving business, and also in helping to drive the economy by helping to develop a skilled workforce. So whatever that means for our 4 counties individually and then collectively across our region. Okay. So the legislation that funds us is the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, and that is subject to change. It's been expired, and with everything going on federally, we're not sure what will happen. But that we've always had some sort of legislation that has funded workforce development initiatives. We do not receive any state or local funding for workforce development, so it is all federally funded. We also, through our legislation, the boards have the responsibility of oversight to the American Job Centers. In North Carolina, those are branded as NC Works. So we have oversight to that partnership. NC Works is a partnership of workforce facing entities. So we have EIPD, formerly VR. We have your general, who can serve everybody services. And then we have our programs that are eligibility programs that help. They do the most for the people who need it the most. So people who have barriers to employment, people who are underemployed, those are the ones that we serve through our eligibility programs. And that is the funding that we receive through the COG to administer. Let's see. So I'll break it down. In Brunswick County, we have a career center in Charlotte. We are going to be closing that location and partnering with Brunswick Community College to use their sites for the primary career center and also for the hubs. They are great partners to us. BCC is exceptional to work with. They are also our provider for our program. So we provide oversight to them for that piece of it. Columbus County, Southeastern Community College is of course the hub of Columbus County. It's a place that people are very comfortable receiving services and going for a number of different things. And they were one of the original job links, which is where they put the AJC, American Job Center, on a campus. And so that was one of the original ones, and we've continued to promote that. New Hanover and Pender counties, we had due to after COVID and the way unemployment around here was shrinking, our career center that was very expensive, we found it underutilized. So we have moved to a smaller location for New Hanover County. And then we utilize hub sites around Pender County. With Pender's population growing, we're considering opening another brick and mortar there, but we're not sure. We're waiting to kind of see how it goes and where the services are needed.
What's a smaller location? Where is that located?
It's over on Carr and Market behind that Walgreens.
And what's the name of it?
It's NC Works.
Okay.
And it is 108 North Carr. There's a little business park back there.
Gotcha.
We just moved in. And so the state actually has the lease on it. So we are kind of, again, NC Works is a partnership. We provide oversight, but we don't provide everything that's in there. So we're working with our partners to get everything ready. And then we had wanted to do an open house in December. We are now waiting to do it in January, which might be good for people after the new year. So that so right now, we're working to get the adequate computers set up until the state can come in. I mean, everything's a process, right?
Yeah.
Approvals and procedures and everything else. So we're waiting for that to all happen before we really do a big kickoff. But the address is on the NC Works online site. So we've had a lot of foot traffic already, people coming in for services. Again, so we have the services, the program services that kind of can serve everyone, and then our eligibility ones that serve certain individuals. Those people carry caseloads, and these career advisors will work with the client one-on-one for whatever amount of time it takes to get them into employment. And again, being demand driven, we want them to have the skills that are useful in our area and to serve the employers that we need, so that when you have a big fish coming, we have the workforce ready to go into those jobs. So that's kind of what we do through the programs. Board staff is small. We have 5 people. There's myself. We have a deputy director. We have a programs manager. We have our, they call the super user. She's our data specialist who trains in the NC Works online database system. And then we have business services. We also right now have a research fellow who's helping to really drive some of our opportunity youth work. And she's working closely with our business engagement manager to make sure everything's demand driven and all of that, which I'll touch on in a second. So let's see. Cover that. So I'll talk a little bit about business services because the programs are sort of self-explanatory. The clients, they must meet eligibility criteria, and then we work with them until they're employed. They may have any number of barriers to employment. It could be a literacy issue. It could be a reentry background issue, homelessness. There's a lot of connection with homelessness and helping to make sure that the career advisors are working with the counselors to make sure that the people are employable. So thankfully, Andrea is a great partner, and she really has helped us to connect the right people to try to get people employed and into homes permanently. So permanent shelter. So the other thing, so for business services, there are a few major areas. Rosemary Gudner is our business engagement manager, and she develops sector partnerships. So that's where you convene people from the same industry. So the Cape for Manufacturing Partnership is well established. We did that one about 4 years ago, and it's got good legs under it, and it's sort of launched and on its own. The Cape for Construction Partnership has been active for a little under a year, and they're focused heavily on construction related apprenticeships, especially pre-apprenticeship for young people. So that's kind of their area right now. We have transportation, logistics, and warehousing that is launching in January. So Rosemary's been doing all the pre-work on that. And then hospitality and tourism. There's been, we want to make sure that we are able to get all of them together so that they can talk about the needs of their industry, right? We want to remain a tourist attraction, a destination for people, and we want to make sure that they have the workforce, but also that those jobs are going to help people build a career here, right? Exactly, be able to afford to live here and all that. So sector partnerships, when you convene people from a certain industry, a discussion may or may not be around workforce. It may be around supply chain or something like that. So it really depends on the industry. So we just sort of introduce them and we feed and water them until they're growing on their own. And every once in a while we go back and do some pruning, but it's not really ours once we launch it.
Right.
Okay. The other thing is I mentioned apprenticeship and pre-apprenticeship. Governor Stein has a 6% mandate for us. It's a big priority for apprenticeship is a big priority for Governor Stein. And as such, our funding, he wants us to spend 6% of it on apprenticeship and pre-apprenticeship initiatives. So we are, or activities, I should say. So we are looking at how to do that collectively across the state. Everybody's looking at how to do that because our funds have a lot of rules attached. So we have to make sure that we're doing it in the way that is federally compliant, but also meets the vision of our governor. So we're working on that. We do have a new apprenticeship with Cape Fear Public Utility Authority in, what is it she said? Underground utilities. So trying to create that so that once the apprenticeship is in place, you have multiple people who can go through it through the years. And then theoretically, the utility authority will always have a pipeline of people right from there. So they'll stick with them. The other thing is incumbent worker training grants. That is to retrain your existing staff. And Rosemary, that is really a big thing that she does is she meets with companies and she listens to them. You know, what is it that you need? And she helps identify those solutions either through our programs, through partners, or something we can do in-house, such as the retraining of existing staff. And then lastly, one of the things that she does with business services is she does work internally with the other departments of the COG to look at, you know, how we can do things regionally. So for example, you know, the continuum of care and helping to combat homelessness, but also working with LGS a little bit. Yep. So she worked with Sam. So transportation is, of course, a huge barrier to successful employment. And around here, when people have to live farther away from their jobs, transportation is critical. And we don't have a good transportation network. One thing goes wrong, you have a maintenance issue or your tags or whatever it may be, all of a sudden you're not able to get to work, right? And so it's an issue that not just affects the jobs or the employee, but also affects business, right? Because of the cost of turnover and retention and all that. So working to identify, transportation hasn't always will be an issue, but we're trying to mitigate that however we can. So she has those internal discussions. And then also to help provide data. So we do a lot around data and looking at trends around employment, local employers, salaries, and all of that. So I know that she's been working with Danny on bringing data to help with the town of Burgaw for Mayor Dawson. So helping that, right? So she's even though it's business engagement, it's really understanding what's going on with our labor market and sharing that information with everybody. And I think she's worked with you too, correct? Am I correct a little bit? Oh, Avery's our research fellow, I should say.
When did you just?
Rosemary.
I was right, yes.
Yes, and Rosemary. Yeah.
Just taking notes.
And then one quick thing, and then I'll end it. Our workforce development board is the composition is in our legislation, and it mirrors that of the state level statewide workforce development board, which is the NC Works Commission. And we have a few people who are on the NC Works Commission that are local. Paul Waller is on the NC Works Commission. Darla McGlamory, I can't believe I can remember her name. She's on the NC Works Commission. She's also on the Cape Fear Workforce Development Board, and I talk to her regularly. So she is also on there. And then Marty Matthews, who is a local person from Brunswick County. So that covers a lot. Did that help a little bit? Okay.
It did.
If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Any questions for Ginger? Ginger, as always, we thank you.
Mike, I had one quick thing I forgot to mention. The required notice from the state retirement system that I send you guys every month. Got another one. I just mailed it to you while Ginger was talking, so you'll have it in your inbox. Just want to bring that to your attention. As usual, we're complying with the requirement to notify you about that.
Okay, before I go into a celebration and a depression all in one, anybody have anything that they want to add today?
Mike, is there any reason we want to add to the agenda a closed session, to talk with Noel about anything legal? As she sort of mentioned. I don't know if there's anything to say yet.
Yeah,
Need to wait until after you.
right,
Yeah.
right. That's,
First.
Okay. Just making sure.
Okay, I just have a couple things to add.
Sure.
Because I'm representing Hammer County, I just wanted to add here that we just launched let me make sure I get this right, help right here nhc.org. It's got, it's basically, our strategy office, set up a website that basically you can go on if you are having mental health, substance use issues, even housing, and it basically runs you through. I didn't bring the flyer with me, but I might email it out to you all. Because it basically links people with services out there. It's a very, very good website. It's still a work in progress, but it's mainly through our strategy office, which deals with our substance use issues, but also mental health funds that do connect people to
I think it's
services.
posted on our Facebook.
Yeah, it really is.
It's very helpful.
Yeah, it is very helpful. And I mean, I recommend even going through it if you have a friend or you yourself, but you can come talk to me if you have issues. But a friend that you want to refer that will pull up a list of services that are provided to the community, to connect them to services. I'm not doing it justice, trust me. Jennifer Rigby in our strategy office did that. Also, I'm working on, I got reached out to from a constituent about Wi-Fi at Solomon Towers. It connects with the city as well, but we've got our Linda at our Office of Civic Engagement and Amber at our Senior Resource Center to try and see if we can get some Wi-Fi to the Solomon Tower. And they're getting ready to go through a rehab of the building itself. But if there's anybody here that, might want to jump in, I think there's going to be a meeting with Tyrone with the Wilmington Housing Authority to kind of look at that and see how we get some Wi-Fi access to them because just for telehealth reasons, et cetera, until they, because I think they have to get their own, I'm not sure. But we're hoping to set up something in their common area for that. If anybody, folks here want to chat about it later, and do a lot with Amber as well. I just wanted to bring those two things up that the county are working on.
Thank you, Steph.
That's it.
Okay.
Thank you. This is my last meeting. I want to tell everybody how much I have appreciated working with all of you, including the staff. But I've got to move on and start taking care of my mother who has dementia. And so when dementia was mentioned earlier, it is a terrible disease.
It is.
It is.
I think it's actually harder on the caregivers than it is on the person. So, but I'll miss all of you, and hopefully I will still hear from time to time.
Well, that is a great segue into what I joined this board in 2018. And Jan Dawson was here long before I got here. And she has been a mainstay for 10 years on this board, a incredibly valuable member to the Council of Government. So with that, we have a certificate of appreciation to present to Jan, and I will read this. Certificate of appreciation presented to Jan Dawson in grateful recognition of outstanding dedication and contributions to the people of the town of Burgos and of the entire Cape Fear region. Through her 10 years of loyal service to the Cape Fear Council of Government, Jan has been on this board representing the town of, she has been the town of Burgos delegate from 2016 to 2025, and also an executive committee member from 2016 through 2025. It is my honor and my privilege to present this to you. You will. Thank you, Jan. You've been an amazing member. It is with that I am going to say, somebody say, we're done.
Meeting adjourned.
There you go. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
We
you.
would have ordered lunch if we knew we were gonna go till 12 o'clock. Sorry,
Yeah.
guys.
That's all right. What'd you bring? We're eating whatever you brought.
I mean, IBT, that's all you gotta say.
I didn't either. I had lunch.
We don't, this was, when we moved the meeting from 11 to 10.
Thank you.
Now, they said somehow we're moving the meeting up an hour, we just go longer.
Now,
More time.
Right, I'm like, oh, I don't have your lunch. But guess what?
This is the way.
Heading right out, can I take you to lunch?
Oh, I think that's the plan. I think I'll eat. I'm not